ముందుగా ప్రియమైన విద్యార్థులకు మరియు వారి తల్లిదండ్రులకు నమస్కారం. నా పేరు కె వెంకన్న జూనియర్ కాలేజ్ చైర్మన్. నేను ఈరోజు 10th క్లాస్ విద్యార్థులను దృష్టిలో పెట్టుకొని మాట్లాడడం జరుగుతుంది. అది ఏమిటనగా, మనందరికీ తెలుసు, గత 2 సంవత్సరాలుగా కరోనా కారణంగా విద్యార్థులు ఎటువంటి పరీక్షలు రాయకుండానే పై తరగతులు పంపడం జరుగుతుంది. ఫలితంగా ఐఐటి జేఈ మరియు నీట్ లాంటి జాతీయ స్థాయి పరీక్షలను సాధించడం కష్టతరం అవుతుంది. దీనిని అధిగమించడానికి మరియు 10వ తరగతి పరీక్షలో అత్యధిక మార్కులు సాధించడానికి నేను మీ ముందుకు కె వెంకన్న జూనియర్ కాలేజ్ ప్లాట్ఫామ్ ద్వారా అనుభవజ్ఞులైన అధ్యాపకులచే ఉచిత వీడియో క్లాసులు, హ్యాండ్ రిటన్ నోట్స్ మరియు గత ప్రశ్నపత్రాల సమాధానాల విశ్లేషణ ఇవ్వబడును. కాబట్టి నేను విద్యార్థులకు చెప్పదలుచుకున్నది ఏంటంటే, ఈ ఉచిత వీడియో క్లాసులను మరియు హ్యాండ్ రిటన్ నోట్స్లను క్లాస్ రూమ్లో కూర్చొని చదువుకున్నంత సీరియస్ చదువుకోవాలను. ఇంకొకటి ఏమిటనగా, ఈ యొక్క క్లాసులు విన్న వెంటనే అర్థం చేసుకొని ప్రాక్టీస్ చేయవలను. ప్రాక్టీస్ చేయడం అంటే కేవలం చదవడం కాదు, పేపర్ మీద రాయవలను. అలాగైతే గుర్తుండిపోతుంది. దీంతో పాటు మీ యొక్క నాలెడ్జ్ని పరీక్షించుకునే కొరకు త్వరలో ప్రీ ఫైనల్ పరీక్షలు కూడా నిర్వహించబడు. ఈ యొక్క అవకాశాన్ని సద్వినియోగం చేసుకోవాలని 10th చదివే విద్యార్థులకు విజ్ఞప్తి చేస్తున్నాను.
Welcome all of you, welcome to K Venkanna classes. So this video is about the cardiac cycle. So write it down, the cardiac cycle. So we have already seen the internal structure of heart, we have seen. And what next we have seen? We have seen the double circulation. What is meant by the double circulation? Just recollect it once. So heart receives the blood twice. So that's why it's called the double circulation. So this is about the cardiac cycle, means how blood is received. Okay. Due to this cardiac cycle, we get these sounds like lub-dub. So just put your hand on this. Okay, you hear some sounds. It's called lub-dub. Isn't it right? It's not beating like that. It's nothing but the heartbeat. Heart beats for how many times? 72 times. Yes. Next, cardiac cycle. It includes both systole and the diastole. Systole means the contraction. Diastole means the relaxation. So in cardiac cycle is nothing but the sequential events of the heart is called the cardiac cycle. So what is a cardiac cycle? Here is the sequential, means like a sequence. The sequential events in the heart.
Hello students, myself Sunil Kumar Badal. I have done my BTech from IIT Kanpur. Here at K Venkanna classes, I teach chemistry. So right now I know you all are busy with your board exam preparation, but let me ask you a question. Suppose you want to be a cricketer. Who would you choose your coach? A cricketer or a wrestler? Answer is definitely cricketer. So in the same way here, we are the group of IITians, NITian and doctor. So if you really want to crack or get a seat into IIT, NIT or any top medical colleges, come here and join us. What are you waiting for? Thank you.
So whatever the events that are taking place in the heart is called the cardiac cycle. Events in the heart is called or is also known as the cardiac cycle. So I told the sequential events here. Then what are the sequential events that takes place in a heart? So heart is how many chamber? It's a 4 chamber. 2 atria or auricle, 2 ventricle, the right and the left. So what they do here, did you hear anytime the word contraction? Yes, definitely. Relaxation also. So what will take place in a cardiac cycle is the 2 phases or 2 events will take place. One is the systole. Okay, this is one first event, and the next one is the diastole. Okay, so what is systole? Systole means the contraction phase. What is systole? Contraction phase is called the systole. Then what is diastole? Relaxation phase. Relaxation phase is called the diastole. So who will contract in the systole? Who will contract? The atria or the auricle will contract. So here the atria will contract, atrial contraction will take place. Not only atrial contraction, even the ventricular contraction also will take place along with ventricular contraction takes place. Okay, then what will happen in the diastole? See, all will relax, called ventricular relaxation. We can see everything will relax here. The relaxation, ventricular relaxation or atrial relax. Atrial relaxation. So this is called the systole and the diastole, and this contraction of the atrial contraction will last for about 0.11 seconds to like 14 seconds it will last. Here it will last for 0.4 like or 0.8 it will last here. 0.4 to 0.8 it will last. So approximately the cardiac cycle, the total time taken for the cardiac cycle is approximately 0.8 seconds. In this 0.8 seconds, both contraction means the contraction will take place, even the relaxation. Contraction includes both here atrial and ventricle, atrial plus ventricle. Relaxation means is the diastole. So this both when we plus together we get the 0.8 seconds. So understood ma? So what is cardiac cycle means? It's an event that takes place in a heart. What events it will take place means the systole and the diastole are the events. What is systole here? The contraction. Who will contract here? Atrial will contract, ventricular contraction is called. Both contraction is called the systole. Then it lasts for how many seconds? 0.11 to approximately 0.14. It varies with the organism. Next, what is diastole? Diastole means all resting phase. When we are tired, when we go to sleep, right? That's called resting. Complete resting phase is called the diastole. So this is, and it lasts for approximately 0.4 seconds like that. That then total time taken for the cardiac cycle is 0.8 seconds like that. Means both systole plus diastole is the cardiac cycle. So now let's see what will happen during the systole. How it will take place. So what I said during systole, right? So this is the heart, just imagine. So these are the certain events that take place in a cardiac cycle. So what will happen first? Atrial contraction here. So both will contract like this. Contraction. Contraction of atria will take place like this. This is the auricle, ventricle, ventricle. Right side, left side. So what's the first step here? Atria contract like this. Contract. So both. The right auricle contract. So whenever the right auricle contracts, so the blood will come into the ventricle like this. Even the left auricle or the left ventricle, when it contracts like this, how our rubber bands, elas, comes to normal position like this. Contracts, the left ventricle also will receive the blood. Okay. So what will happen during contraction of atria? Both the atria will come together, means contract. Whenever they are contracted, the blood is filled with, so the blood will come into the ventricle here. So due to the contraction of atria, here the valves are closed. See here, valves get closed. Endukante that blood, whatever it is filled in the ventricle, should not go into the atria. Again, it is coming back, it is coming from atria, it should never go back. So that's why here whenever this is empty, ఏం లేదు నాన్న, ఇది empty అయిపోయింది అనుకోండి, ఇందులోకి వచ్చేస్తుంది కదా, ఇది empty ఇందులోకి వచ్చిన తర్వాత మళ్ళీ బ్యాక్ వెళ్ళకూడదు. It should not go back. So that in order to do like that, here the walls close చేసేయాలి. So these walls get closed here. So what will happen here? Atrioventricular valves. Atrioventricular valves close. Okay, so like this, like how we blow a balloon. So itla contraction avesariki itla ventricle ku vachesariki emayipotundi, the both valves that get close. Because of that we get lub sound. What we get? Lub sound we got. Okay, so when we get a lub sound, whenever valves get contracted, we'll get a lub. That is this is the systole or diastole? Definitely systole. So now what will happen here? So let's see. See, our blood is now the blood is in the right ventricle, now the blood is in the left ventricle. Now what will happen now? So from right ventricle here, what will come here? Pulmonary artery, I said. Pulmonary artery will arise, and from left ventricle, aorta. So blood is here. So when the blood is here, it will push the blood into the valves here, pulmonary artery and aorta. So this, whenever it is pushing here, so this is called the systole. So what happened here? Ventricular contraction happened. What happened, ma? Ventricular contraction. See, here we have seen the auricle contraction. Because of auricle contraction, the ventricle will receive the blood. So here the blood is in the ventricle here. So because of that contraction, like this, what happened? What is the connection there? It will, now the blood will enter into the arteries, pulmonary artery and aorta. Okay, so it will now, so the blood what is passed into the pulmonary artery or the valve here, it will have the tendency to come back. Okay, వెళ్ళిపోయింది నాన్న ఇక్కడికి. So what, same as it is here, it will have the tendency to come back. What happened here? We have closed the gates. These are gates. We have to close the gates. So see here also, whenever the right ventricle, because of contraction, because of the force, because what happened here, the blood has entered into the artery and the vein. So here also what will happen? They have the tendency to come back. So what will we need to do? We should close these valves also. So whenever this closing the valves, we get a dub sound. So when we get a dub sound here, when the dub sound, this lub is very active sound. This lub is very active sound. Active sound. You can just hear when you put the stethoscope. Okay, you can see the lub dub sound. Then dub sound is somewhat very passive, very low, we can say. Passive. So both these are the systole. So systole means not only one contraction, it includes both atrial and the ventricular contraction. So in the systole, what we have seen, the contraction of atria. Because of the contraction of atria, we get the lub sound, and in the systole here, because of the ventricular contraction here, we see the dub sound. So this is all about the systole. Now what is the next one here? Diastole. So heart is tired a lot, sending that blood into the ventricle, and from ventricle to all parts. Now the blood is so tired, it wants some rest. So that rest is called the diastole. Both the ventricle and the auricle or atria and the ventricle, they just relax. Ventricle, they just relax. Means again, relax is nothing but they be ready for the another contraction. Just they be silent and they be ready for the another contraction. So that's the diastole. So what is the cardiac cycle? What it includes is the both the systole and the diastole. Systole means the atrial contraction and the ventricular contraction. Diastole means completely relaxing state. Both, no work here. Again it will get ready for the another cycle. So this is all about the cardiac cycle. So I hope it is clear to you. Yes, definitely.